even if you are just 1.5 steps ahead of the people that you are helping, you don't need to be a guru. You don't need to be an expert. You need to just at least have wrestled with that monster. You need to have been like, I actually know exactly what this is like because I was just in that ring last week. Okay, I'm going to break it down. If you are someone who believes that you are really good at what you do, you are an artist, a creative, an entrepreneur, you have an idea, you're a coach, you're out here healing people, helping people, but you say to yourself, it's just that nobody knows that I exist. Like, I'm really good. It's just that nobody knows I exist. Okay, if that's you, then watch this video because I'm going to be real with you guys. My TikTok account really, I believe that TikTok specifically is a platform where you can reclaim your voice. And I think the biggest obstacle to growth, at least for me, was my own mindset. And so I think that if you can conquer the mindset of social media, then you can really go so far. There's no limit to how much you can grow. This year, it's 2024. I'm filming this in October. My goal is next year to cross the 100,000 follower mark, which is totally banana land, totally crazy. Never in my wildest dreams. I mean, I'd hoped for it, but I gave up so many times. I had a lot of self-defeating behaviors. And today I'm just going to lay it all out and share some of the mindset, like Jedi tricks that I used to get me from January 1st, I was at 10,000 followers. And as of today, I'm at 65,000. I'm going to take us back to the beginning of the year. This is January. Okay. I was in my office at the time. I had rented like a small space downtown. And essentially, I was thinking, okay, this is the year. Like, this is the year that I'm going to experiment. I'm going to try and grow. Okay. I had a little Post-it that said gain 5,000 followers. Like, that was my goal. I just wanted to go from, at the time, 10,000 to 15,000. 10,000 is when TikTok starts paying you and you get monetized, okay? For some reason, to get to 10,000, I was pushing myself so hard, posting constantly, and I was posting. And then when I hit 10,000, I literally stayed at 10,000 for months because I ran out of steam. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, this is exhausting. Okay, I've made it. But I just felt like I didn't care. I didn't know what I was posting about. I didn't know who my audience was. I felt extremely disconnected from the whole thing. I actually went, I think, a couple months without even opening the app because I still hadn't figured out that like the lines were blurred for me between creating content and consuming content. And I was exhausted from both, to be perfectly frank. And I think, so the first thing that I want to share with you guys is this idea that you have to figure out your own voice, okay? So back in January, I was doing these videos where I call it like, I feel like my voice at that time was like expert lady. So lame. But I basically thought to myself, okay, you look at all of the videos that you post and you're just like rambling in a lot of them. And maybe some you're giving advice. Some you're like, should I try to be funny? Like, I don't even know what my direction is. Not knowing kind of your point of view and your voice is totally normal. It took me a full year plus to figure it out. Okay, so at the time, I'm making these like expert commentary videos where basically I would talk about the downfall of big tech. And so, because when I looked at my results, like the biggest videos that did the best were the ones where I talked about Google or where I talked about Elon Musk and the fall of Twitter and the rise of X. And when I would talk about these big companies and essentially what I would see as hypocritical behavior. Okay. So it put me in a place where the only time that my videos were really taking off, and by taking off at the time, it was like over 10,000 views, was if I was talking about something really controversial. And of course, like TikTok, the algorithm loves things that are current events, timely, and educational. And when you do a video about the CEO of Google or how Amazon is doing like return to work, it's all of those things. And so the algorithm freaking loves it. And the algorithm also loves when people fight in the comments. And there is nothing more contentious than making any kind of comment, especially as a woman, about big tech. Because then you have all the bros, all the tech bros in your comments. You have women in tech. You have a lot of people that disagree with each other. And they're fighting you in the comments. They're fighting each other in the comments. Like, it gets a little crazy. And I remember doing this. I did in early January, I did this video on Google return to work policy. And I basically was just like talking shit and like making fun of Google, right? And it took off. When I say it took off, it over the course of a weekend got like 200,000 views. And that had just become monetized. And it ended up getting, I'm not even kidding you, it ended up getting 1 million views. And at the time, my RPM was about $1. So I got paid $1,000 for that video. And I had to sit up and take notice. I was like, holy shit. Like, it's just one video. Okay. Now, here's what I learned from doing that. One is that when you have a video that is trending and popping off, it's very easy to like ride on the coattails of that. It's literally like Mario Kart, you know, when you're playing Mario Kart and then you can like go behind someone and ride off of their steam. It's like you just ride off the virality of that one video. And so I would do these follow-up videos to people's comments. People would comment and then I'd make another video. And then nothing really ever peaked the original like 1 million views, but some of them got really close. Like I had 4 or 5 videos that were all just popping off because I was making all of these video replies, and the algorithm it just always wants more food. So if you can continue to feed it, like that's great. That totally works. Okay. So I kind of figured out how to ride the wave. I figured out, oh my gosh, this is working. And then I could just pick and choose the comments that were interesting to me. And then I felt like, okay, I actually have something to say. And so all of those took off as well. I think in that period, I gained something like 10,000 followers from like that one insane video. Okay. The deeper message though, because this is not about these accolades or accomplishments. The deeper message is that I started to really reflect and be like, okay, that's amazing. Like, I feel like I caught lightning in a bottle, but at the same time, I don't care. Me, Mandy Tang, like Asian female, age 42, is sitting in my room. Like, I don't care. Like, that was great. Thank you, TikTok gods, for giving that to me, and thank you for paying me $1,000. Like, that's insane. But in my heart, I was like, I don't care about this. I don't care about Google. I don't care about big tech. It's not what's really driving me. And it's also not something that I could see myself doing in the long, long term. Okay. And so I think the first mindset advice that I would have for you is when you start posting, it's definitely important to experiment and try different things, but you also have to really listen to yourself, because we're trying to play the long game. We're not trying to be a flash in the pan. We're actually trying to ideally have social be an extension of our authentic voice, and then use that for good, use that to help build people, use that to help grow your business, not just to like get likes and follows for no reason, because that's not a sustainable strategy. And so I think The mindset shift is like longevity. Like, what is something that you think that you can do in the long term that's not going to drive you absolutely bonanza nutso, and that you're going to actually enjoy? Okay. So the second mindset shift that I want to share is that I just kept experimenting. Okay. So from that kind of windfall, from those videos in January, I was like, oh wow, like I'm tapping into like these new audiences. I still didn't know, am I going to just offer coaching services? Like, is that the call to action? Like, what am I doing? And so I really started experimenting, and eventually what will happen is you will stumble upon a topic where you're like, oh, actually, I like this. Okay, so second point on the topic of longevity. What I actually figured out is that if I could bring some of my real life into TikTok, that could actually work. And so as you guys know, I am a career coach. And so for a long time, what I was just doing was just one-on-one coaching sessions. A client would come to me, I would say, here's my Calendly link, pick a time, pay the amount, done and done. Okay. And so every day I was doing 2, sometimes 3 coaching sessions. And I never thought to talk about, I know this sounds so stupid in hindsight, but it never occurred to me that like that could be the thing that maybe I talk about. I just had this misconception that people on TikTok only wanted hot topics, if that makes sense. I never thought, well, the topic of the everyday, ordinary things that I talk about in my coaching sessions, things like, hey, what should I do for my next move? Or I'm having a really stressful relationship with my boss. Like, I didn't think to bring that into it. I know that sounds insane. I really thought that everything had to be cute and packaged, and like maybe it had to be a song, or maybe it had to just be a 10-second little like laughy video, and none of that was true. So I remember distinctly getting off of a client call and being like, oh, I already have like these thoughts in my brain. Like, why don't I just turn on the camera and just share that? Because obviously if this person had those questions, then they can't be the only one, right? And so I started doing that. I just started incorporating what I thought were kind of obvious things or kind of boring things and bringing that onto my social media presence. I think I also stopped caring. I don't think I ever really cared, but I really stopped caring about how I looked on camera. I mean, you can go back, you can look at all of the videos. It's me in sweats, me hair in a ponytail, no makeup ever, blurry camera, terrible. Like everything was just terrible. But my message was pure and my message was clear. And so I think that really helped. Third, sometimes you're just not going to know what to say. You're going to like wake up and be like, I've run out of ideas. And if you're super organized, then maybe you have a whole list of content ideas and it's in a spreadsheet and it's organized by topic. I am not always so organized. And so what I started to do, and it kind of had like a 2-part purpose. One was like, it kept me in it. And 2 is that it was way more conversational this way. I would just do a ton of like responses to comments. Okay. So people would, anytime someone asked a question where it was like a real legitimate question, like, hey, Mandy, what would you suggest for someone who's a teacher and looking to leave their profession and pivot? Like a real question. I would just hit reply as a video and I would record my response. Unscripted. You have to be okay with stuttering and saying and not having a perfect response, but giving advice like how you would actually give it. Okay. And so this is in the context of I'm a coach. And so I help people with their careers. Like that's my profession. Okay. But this could be anything. Like if you're an artist and you want to talk to people about the different paints that you use and the different paintbrushes, right? Or if you're a writer and you want to talk about writer's block and you want to help people kind of deconstruct the process of like how to get from point A to point B. If you're a chef and you want to talk to the camera and be like, hey guys, I just want to talk to you about like the latest utensils that I'm using or like this amazing spice that I found, like anything where if you were hanging out with a friend and you would turn to them and be like, oh, do you want to know something really cool? Like that's content. Okay. Like everyday conversation, everyday things that you do, that's content. So the fourth idea that I want to share, and this is specifically if you are a creative and you have a brain that likes to just invent things, is I truly, truly, truly think that you should create something and sell it. Okay, hear me out. If you're in the profession where you are in a services business, okay, you basically exchange your time for client sessions, right? This can be a therapist, this can be a healer, this can be you do tarot readings, like anything in this realm, okay? Anything where you require like a link for people to book your time, okay? Even if you love it, even if you're like, it gives me life, I'm obsessed, first off, know that all of your knowledge is like gold, okay? Because here's the thing, when you're in that situation, you're getting so many reps in. You're seeing so many clients. You see so many different use cases. And that's what people are paying you for. They're paying for the fact that you have this higher level expertise, right? That you are able to see things from 10,000 feet and have pattern recognition. And therefore, you're bringing the collective wisdom to them. My advice to you is to productize that as however you want, okay? I'm going to share how I did it, but there are 1,000 ways. There are 1,000 ways to do it. Okay. So in March, April of this year, I really wanted to productize something because personally for me, I'm actually more of an introvert. And this is why I also love social media, because as much as I am talented and good at like holding space for people, I also have emotional, physical limits to how much I can do. Whereas like I can turn on a camera and talk all day. Like that doesn't exhaust me at all. Like that actually gives me energy, weirdly. Okay. So I was like, I want to figure out a way where I can basically build more downtime into my life. Like, I don't want to do back-to-back client sessions. You may be different. You may love it, and that's awesome. But this is for people who are kind of like, I just want to diversify my income streams. I don't want to just be dependent. Like, there would be times where if I got sick, then I'm not making any money. Do you know what I'm saying? So we have to diversify our different income streams. So I had this idea. I want to productize something. And I've tried this many different times. I've had free downloads on my website. I've had little worksheets. I've had all kinds of things. But I never really put it into a clear packaged thing for a specific client. And so I had this idea. It was like a little stupid fart of an idea, but I was like, what if I just made a journal and it's like a workbook? And I love a workbook because I used to run a lot of workshops. And so I understand how to move a group of people. And by that, I mean people with varying interests, varying skills, varying levels, and move them through a collective process, right? This is basically learning design. This is designing how to like move people through a bit of transformation is a big word, but like move them through from where they are to where they will eventually be. Okay. I knew how to do that because I've taught in the classroom. I've taught workshops. I've taught live virtual. Like I've done all the things. Like learning design is like my jam. Like I can make a spreadsheet. I can make a PowerPoint presentation that walks people through like exercises and different things. Like I know how to do that. I love doing that stuff. So I was like, what if I created a journal and it's like a physical printed book? Okay. And I'm going to call it the Should I Quit Journal because first off, that's ludicrous, you know? And second off, like I know the steps that I would take people through because I've done it. Okay. So at the time, TikTok Shop is just about a year old, and I had seen it. They were just starting to promote it, and I had seen all through like the holiday season of last year, like they were going crazy, and like you couldn't even watch TikTok without, 2 or 3 TikTok Shop videos coming up. But at the time it was just like everyday products, But they did have a couple of like books and journals on there, and I was like, this is so silly. But what if I just like made a book and I could just make it at home? I could just print it at home. I could figure out how to do like very lazy man like binding at home. And then bada bing bada boom, like we've got something. Okay. So I put that up on my website. And this is another thing. If you are looking to use social to scale, like, if you don't already get a website, that's like crucial because you basically need somewhere for people to land. Okay, because they're going to come from your social and they're going to go to your bio, and it's probably either going to be like, let's say it's a link tree or like one of these like link things, right? Or you just direct them to your site. You don't even have to pay for anything. You direct them to your site, and you need to like give them something or have something for them to do. Okay. So I published it on my website. I also at the time was operating like a very sad email list of like 200 people. And so I wrote about it in my email list, and I was like, hey guys, if you want, I have this thing. It's a journal, and it helps you figure out if you should quit your job. And if you want to, then it also helps you figure out like what your next steps are. And actually it tells you more about like who you are spiritually as a person and what you should do with your life through a series of like guided exercises, right? So blah, blah, blah. So I just said all that. And I sold like 3. And honestly, selling 3, I was like, this is amazing. Okay. But the reason that I'm saying this is because when you eventually hook this up into TikTok Shop, okay, you become a vendor on TikTok Shop where you are selling your product on TikTok Shop. TikTok then becomes your best friend. At that point, when I published the journal on TikTok Shop, remember I had like 3 or 4 sales, and then I was like, well, let me try this TikTok Shop thing. It seems new. Not many people are doing it. It's not that saturated. Let me just try to get on it. And especially because it's my own product. This is what I'm saying. If you can create something that you make, write, or do, I guess do doesn't, not service, but like a physical product that you can make, right? I'm telling you, TikTok will be your best friend. When I published it on TikTok, I think I had 25,000 followers. And I swear to God, ever since I created the product and published it on TikTok Shop, that is how. See, TikTok, you have to think about it as a business, right? So they are trying to grow, and they are trying to not, if you think about like the downfall of various social media, a lot of it is because they haven't figured out how to monetize properly. Okay, so like Vine was great, but it died because you couldn't buy anything on that platform. So they really couldn't make money. Okay, so TikTok knows that it needs to basically be an e-commerce platform. I believe TikTok is basically the next QVC. Okay, and no matter how you feel about that, if that makes you cringe, if you feel like that's not authentic, everybody has their opinion, but you really can't argue with the fact that it is basically social selling. Of course, it's also like honesty and memes and hilarious things and like stupid things too. But the direction that I think it's going is essentially social selling. Okay. So ever since I put it on TikTok Shop, it has exploded my following from the 20-ish K to now 65K. So it's 3x my following in a matter of months. And let me break down for you why that happens. So that happens because when you make a video on TikTok, and remember, you're not going to like come out the gate and start being like, hi, I'm new, I have no followers, and also I'm selling this thing. You're probably going to have to spend a couple of, well, I don't want to put time attached to it, but let's say a significant period, minimum a couple of months, building your voice, figuring out your platform, figuring out your focus, right? But once you let's say you have 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers, I'd be like, yeah, green light, go. Like start selling something, okay? Because as artists, we deserve to make money. Like I know this sounds crazy, but I truly believe it, that I am going to be a better artist, a better creator, a better writer if I am not panicking about paying my bills. And I believe that if I have art to be shared with the world, if I have great writing, great structure, a great journal, and that's actually helping people, then I am doing a service. Like, I am being in service. Okay? So when you make a video, you can actually include a link to the product in the video. You probably know this because it's probably trying to eat you alive and like bombarding you at every step, you know? But what this means is that you can talk about your product from a real authentic place. And then people can just, even as the video is like playing in the background, they can click on the product and then it'll take them, they can like buy in the video experience. Okay. So TikTok knows this. So when you publish a video with a shoppable link, it just goes crazy. It goes crazy. It's like, I'll do videos, even today, I'll do videos where I'm just talking, I'm just answering questions, I'm just trying to be helpful, okay? I don't know, 2,000 views, 3,000 views. I'll do a video with a link to the product, 8,000 views, 10,000 views. I have one that's linked to the product with 1.9 million views. And I joke with my husband, I'm like, this is like unfair. There's like no reason that, like, I was like, that video is good, but it's not that good. You know, there's no reason that I should be favored so highly by the algorithm. But this is why I'm saying, like, if you're a creative that wants to help people, that has a product that you can make and that you can sell, then freaking put it on TikTok Shop because it will explode your business. 100%. Okay. There's 2 more points that I want to share. The first one is that it's a slog. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, growing your account on TikTok is a slog because you are subject to the whims of the algorithm. Some days it likes you. Some days it just ignores you. You have to show up regardless of the outcome. Overall, I think this is a good practice of like character building for you in general. And it also will make you more confident because if you're continually showing up on the camera and speaking and sharing and helping people, like your voice, it's like a blade. It gets sharpened over time. Okay. However, I will share a trick with you on how I think that this is what added to the virality of some of my videos. And that is that you want to force yourself into a structure that you are forced to create these videos. Okay. So in the beginning, my journal, it happens to be a 28-page journal. And my idea was like, okay, I'm going to film 28 videos, 1 video per page. That just is me giving the voiceover, showing the questions, taking people through the exercises. It's very coach-like of me, okay? And I also said I'm not going to gatekeep this content. Like, you don't have to buy the journal. You could literally just like follow along, right? So I committed to that. I like put a video up where I was like, hey guys, you're going to get 28 videos. When I tell you by the 5th video, I was like, F this. Nobody cares. There's no traction. Nobody's interested. This is a disaster. Okay. But because I had said it, because I had promised, I was like, you guys are going to get this. I was like forced to finish. And had I not committed to it, I swear I really wouldn't have finished it. And it was on the 5th or 6th video that it really started to take off. And so if there's a way that you can create a structure where it's like, okay, hey guys, I'm going to do a 4-part series where I'm going to break down this. Okay, stay tuned for part 2, right? Or if you can do hey guys, welcome, we're going to do a 1-week challenge. I'm going to post 1 video every day on you kind of have to do that because otherwise you will just lose steam and lose motivation. So if there are ways that you can create like mini bundles of content that you are then forced to finish, I think that could really help you. Okay. The last point that I want to share, and this is a huge mindset thing, is that you want to pick a pain point where you are providing the solution to a problem. Okay, so when I was working in startups in New York, we were going around to all of the VCs and we were pitching our business idea. Okay. So something that I was trained in and that hasn't left me to this day is this idea that everything you do must be problem solution. Even if it's like a little bit artificially manufactured and you're like, okay, like, yes, the world needs another B2B SaaS platform. It really doesn't. Okay. But what I'm saying is you have to figure out the pain point that you want to help people solve, because ultimately your content needs to be more than just about you. Like, yes, you're interesting, and yes, you're compelling, and yes, you're highly charismatic. I love that for you. But it can't be the Mandy show. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be. It should be that you are in service of something. Okay, so then you might ask yourself, that sounds great, but how do I be of service? That's scary, right? And so this is going to go back to the notion, I've talked about this before in other videos, of being reflecting back on your own dark night of the soul. So thinking back to yourself, where in my life have I stumbled? Where in my life have I been hurt, been wounded, been in pain, had to figure something out, had to pick myself back up after I've been torn apart? Okay, because the idea of like the wounded healer, right? So someone who has gone through a specific fire and then come out the other side. And we're never perfect. We're never in like an amazingly perfect, strong state, but we are in a state where we can help other people and say, hey, I've just been through this. Step here, watch out for this. And partly the reason why this is so, so powerful, also just from like a energetically healing perspective, is that you're going to know what you're talking about. Okay? So you're going to have such empathy for the problem. Right? So like as a coach, why did I become a career coach? Because my career is the thing that has plagued me my whole life. I've always wanted to figure out, what am I going to do when I grow up? Like I've always cast my identity so closely with my career. My career has broken my heart more than anything else. My ambition, my wanting to be something, achieve something, be more, like pull myself out of like, my father grew up in poverty. You know what I mean? Like pull myself up out of that for good, establish generational wealth. Like these things plague me. They plague me, you know? Up until like 6 months ago, I was basically just like a broke coach who was trying to like figure life out. So what I'm saying is you want to pick something that has hurt you, because then you can say to your clients, to your eventual audience, etc., hey, I've been there. Hey, I know what it's like to be in this mud. I used to say to my clients all the time, I'd be like, I don't have a solution, but I'm in here with the mud with you. I'm in here in the mud with you. I don't have a solution, but I'm going to hang out here with you, and we're just going to hang out together, and we're going to talk about it. And the act of shining a light on that, and the act of acknowledging, naming something, being like, oh yeah, that's that smell, you know, that can really change someone's life. Just that acknowledgement of being like, oh my God, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. I'm not making this up. And that's the power. So I think if you're in any kind of creative profession, helping profession, therapist, dog walker, painter, it doesn't matter. It's like, take your pain, take the things that you've wrestled with truly, and create solutions around them. Even if you are just 1.5 steps ahead of the people that you are helping, you don't need to be a guru. You don't need to be an expert. You need to just at least have wrestled with that monster. You need to have been like, I actually know exactly what this is like because I was just in that ring last week. And here's my mindset. Here's what I've learned. Look at my scars. Learn from this. Final tip that I want to share is I have been terrified to be on TikTok live because really just the unpredictability of it and the scope of it. Like you don't know if there's going to be 8 people in the live or 80 people. And also I get like performance anxiety because you could like see on the screen how many people are in the room. And if it's like over 100, you feel really good. And if it's like 2, you feel like a loser. And it's like, it's such a mind F. I can't even tell you. However, I am going to, and I'm like scared to even like say, like commit to this, but let me put it, I am considering and thinking about committing to it more. Like that's how I am right now. Just honest. Because here's what I noticed the other day. When I was on TikTok, I saw 2 creators that I like, that I enjoy very much. One is like, I think his name's like Bradley on a Budget. And he just goes like dumpster diving and he saves money and he's like hilarious. So he was doing a live. And as he was doing the live, I didn't join his live, but as I was scrolling, every 8 or 9 videos, it would show me another one of his videos. And then his little face icon in the corner would like pulse. And so it basically was like trying multiple times to like lure me into his live, probably because I had stayed on his live. You know, you could like lurk a live but not enter it. You can like watch it happening, but you're not like in it yet. Probably because I had lurked for, I don't know, 2-3 seconds. Okay. And what I realized is that, TikTok is really trying to, like if you're in a live, TikTok is trying to push you into that. And it is giving you a disproportionate amount of marketing attention, eyeballs, while you're in the live. And I noticed this there's this other like, this dude he's like this dating coach, and he has this, call-in dating show. And I don't know, I just love to like watch this stuff also because I learn how people manage a live, and I'm like, oh, he's actually having people call in. That's so interesting. I wonder if I could like incorporate something like that in the future. Anyway, so the same thing was happening with him. So he's in the live, and I scroll past the live pretty quickly. I don't hover, but then I see like, oh, there's another video of his. Oh my gosh, there's another video of his. And so I realized, I was like, Mandy, girl, you gotta get your ass in these lives, because even if it's 3 people, and just like get over yourself, like get over it, okay? Have a thick skin about it. Learn to show up, get better, because I also think, and this can be kind of an experiment that maybe we do together and I'll report back, but I also think that if you're on live a lot, TikTok becomes obsessed with you and will rocket ship your following. Like you'll explode. So that's my theory. We can test it in the coming weeks. But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. I am trying to do this new thing where I don't just talk about whatever's on my mind, but I'm trying to be a little bit more strategic to be like, what are some of the topics that people might be interested in so that I can gain a bigger audience here on YouTube. But I'm also like, it's so interesting. It's just a different world. And I'm also like, do follower counts even matter? I don't think so, because I don't follow anyone, and I like have my favorite people that I watch. I just don't click the follow button. That's fine. So I'm also kind of evolving with that, but this was my experiment. This is something a little bit more structured, a little bit more hot topic-y, not just like the inner guts of my psyche as it relates to my creativity. I don't know how broad that appeals to people, but then also I'm like, that's the shit that I would watch. So we're just experimenting it. We're experimenting with it together. So thank you so much for watching. And if you liked this video, please comment. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you want more content like this, if you're like, Mandy, I love that part where you talked about this, but I want more data, I want more information, I will drop it for you. I will spit the facts. I'm like, I don't hold anything back. So that is all. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching. Bye.